profit. We support projects which unify human beings with nature. Our primary focus is on supporting nature through these times of global change. Unified Human and Unified Prakriti is registered in the UK, in the USA, in India, and in Australia. And in India, we are registered under the name Unified Prakriti Foundation. Prakriti in Sanskrit means creation. At Unified Human and Prakriti Foundation, we have a completely holistic approach with interconnectedness, diversity, and integrity, representing everything we do. We work as an accelerator and a curator of life regenerating projects. We work through three main applied pillars: clean technologies. These are technologies for clean water, clean air, waste management and recycling, and aquaculture. We connect up relevant clean technologies and relevant and appropriate organizations with communities that need them globally. The second pillar is health. We support community health through naturally oriented and innovative solutions based on healthy nutrition, lifestyle management, de-addiction, plant-based, and most importantly, plant-based remedies, and most importantly, food security. Our third pillar is cultural and community regeneration. We work with diverse communities in the countries we are in, supporting indigenous knowledge and culture. We love sharing it on the world platform to support these communities to bring their inheritances into a modern context and into a modern audience. And this is also the Foundation's educational platform. So today's live session, discussion, The Wisdom of Well-Being, brings together Dr. Mala Kapadia, who is an expert. She's a highly accomplished scholar and practitioner, and she has a distinguished career spanning research, education, journalism, human resources, and consulting. She is based out of southern India. She's a passionate advocate for integrating ancient Indian wisdom with modern approaches to well-being, leadership, and organizational development. Dr. Kapadia is currently the director of the Center for Indigenous Knowledge Systems at the Anadi Foundation, and she's the principal investigator for a Ministry of Education, Indian Ministry of Education, Indian Knowledge Systems research project on well-being and happiness based around the ancient knowledge and technologies of Ayurveda. She's been very grateful to her gurus, and an initiative by Indica Academy selected Dr. Mala Kapadia as one of the gurus in 2023 in inspiring young minds in ancient wisdom. She's a member of the Advisory Council of the Center for Indian Knowledge Systems at Chanakya University, Bangalore, in India. And she was a professor and director for the Center for Wellbeing and Wellness at the Rashtram School of Public Leadership, Rishihood University, Sonipat. She's also the founder of Human Potential Consulting, named Tame the Monkey. This is fabulous, Dr. Mala. I'm going to now hand the audience over to Stefan. Stefan will be in live discussion with Dr. Mala Kapadia on the wisdom of well-being.
Thank you, Sangeeta. I'm honored to delve into the wisdom of well-being with you, Dr. Mala. You've had such a diverse career spanning from research, education, and consulting, all while weaving in ancient wisdom. So together we'll explore how ancient wisdom can guide us on our path to personal and collective well-being. So without further ado, let's begin this enlightening journey together. Um, First, in fact, what first inspired your passion for integrating these two worlds, ancient and modern?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sangeeta and Stefan, for inviting me here in Cambria,
It's a
the
pleasure.
Unified Human Prakriti Foundation. Uh, what, inspired me to connect ancient and modern. And let me clarify, it's all over the world. Time is seen as linear, right? That you look at different eras, you look at different years. And in India, time is cyclic. So time is not linear. Also, there are parallel times existing, right? So while we are sitting here at this evening or morning, whatever in different countries the time is, there are parallel universes. So when we say modern and ancient, it's limiting, right? And realize that what we call modern, most people think that what is modern in that linear time frame is more scientific, and what is ancient time frame is maybe or not very scientific. One of the reasons for this is that maybe what people in science look at paradigms have shifted. So just look at physics, right? I mean, in physics, Newton said, and then what Einstein said, and today what quantum physicists are looking at are different paradigms. However, in India, when I started studying long ago, in knowledge system, what we call Bharatiya Gyan Parampara, I realized that our sages, our teachers, our gurus, they have all wisdom which scientists are rediscovering. And then you realize that today, whatever human beings, all of us are going through, humanity going through the pandemic times. Prior to that, in corporates, they called it a VUCA time. We've all been experiencing climate change. And then I realized that what we call modern science or modern knowledge has not really helped us live better. Ultimately, we all want to be happy and healthy, right? All of us, without any
Absolutely.
exception.
Mm,
And that's
Definitely.
where a U-turn to the ancient wisdom helped me to, use a little different language maybe and bring it, integrate it with the sciences that I'm studying.
Thank you very much to clarify that. It's important. And that's why we wanted, and I wanted personally to discuss with you. Thank you for this. Um, so, talking about these things, your work emphasized the importance of well-being, especially in leadership. Um, what was coming back to your story? So, what was the particular moment in your journey that made you realize that the power of this connection between these two concepts?
Okay. The journey began actually while I was studying psychology
Hmm.
in St. Xavier's College, Mumbai. But unfortunately, in India, all the curriculum is very Eurocentric or American centric. I mean, unfortunately, they have not been teaching Indian wisdom as a part of mainstream curriculum when at least I was graduating. So I said that, okay, if this doesn't make sense to me, because I was already into spirituality, into Indian wisdom. So I said, okay, I don't want to study psychology further. Let me explore different academic areas. And that's how I explored literature, my own literature, Indian literature, and then I explored human
Hmm.
resources. I mean, unfortunately, the word human, we use them as resource, right? That shows the
Hmm.
modern mindset, how we look at nature and how we look at resources. But when I was in corporate life and later, much later, I've been teaching for 16 years to MBA students, organization behavior, leadership courses. and also my own journey in HR as a leader, I realized, well, always takes a back seat because when it's corporate, the organizational philosophy, culture, way of working, or whether it's management and leadership education, we are not giving well-being a priority. So at a person to realize that your own well-being is taking a back seat. I was seeing that around in all my colleagues and my seniors, even juniors. And also, while teaching at SB Jain School of Global Management, when you teach global cases, right? I mean, you look at Harvard cases for management, and you teach how do global managers, manage teams, and you realize that well-being is nowhere in education as well, right? So we are creating global managers. We are who are trying to live a global lifestyle. So let's say there is a global manager in US managing a global team and keeps on traveling to different countries to manage a crisis with the client or customer. But there is no jet lag that is taken into consideration, no different cultures, work cultures, country cultures that are, as a part of awareness. And well takes a backseat. And in individualism, in well-being models and frameworks, I realize that well-being is a center, is a core of who we are as human beings.
Absolutely. Well said. Um, Now that we've delved a bit in your story and how you came to these insights, um, we'll look for other insights on how that can be applied for us on the other side of the screen. So in today's fast-paced, often fragmented culture, as you rightfully said, how do you see the expression of individual, the person, and but also the community well-being evolving at the moment?
Sure, Stefan. Thank you for this question because, in fact, the answer is right there in your question, fast paced, right?
Yeah.
And Henry Thoreau is one of my favorite philosophers. In fact, he's the one who's guided a lot of my life decisions later on. But he had said that we all are living fast rather than deep, right? And today, when we look at humanity, we are all into a pandemic age or a VUCA age, as we call it. It's a
Mm,
result of this fast pace. And when we don't live deep enough, obviously we have got fragmented. We are not living a holistic life. One of the major reason I trace back to the industrial revolution, because prior to industrial revolution, people were living rooted in their own
mm,
culture, right?
yes.
They didn't have to migrate to different cities for work. So, work in life, I mean, look at our own words that we use in corporate life, work life balance, as if there is no life in work.
Mm,
Isn't it? I mean, the words we use themselves reflect how fragmented our own thinking is. So, prior to industrial era, people were living in their community, living rooted in their culture, close to nature. And therefore, it was very easy for them to follow a circadian rhythm, right? So, with sun, your day begins, and with sunset, you start winding up the day. And then it's time with family, it's time with community.
mm,
You celebrate all the festivals connected with harvesting, agriculture, right? And this is where I think community played a great role in the mental health and also the physical health of people.
mhm,
Because in the era, people started leaving their villages, people started leaving their homes. There was an alienation because you are totally staying in an alien city, living in an industrial era with colleagues whom you are not connected with. Now we are talking of team building, etc., right? But it's an artificial imposition. It doesn't come natural, as natural as when you are rooted in the place where you are born, right? And then the community becomes your extended family. So what I realize is, and this is what Ayurveda, one of the basic ancient science of well-being, Ayurveda talks about as individual is in the cosmos. The microcosm are the same. And therefore, whatever rhythm we see, I mean, we don't see chaos in the universe, right?
Mhm.
In the cosmic, there is an order. In an Ayurveda, that cosmic order is called rhythm. They are not in a competition, right? I mean, you
No,
don't see Mercury or Mars saying, okay, now we'll go faster around the sun. We want to beat the other planets. They never do that. They're very
exactly.
disciplined, right? But
There's an order.
unfortunately, look, it's order, but we have lost that order. So
Yes, and continue. Sorry.
connected.
Oh,
Sorry, yeah.
no, complete your thought. I just
Yeah. So today are very one with nature. So there is no natural order in how we live.
mhm.
Second, community. So then you try to build artificial relationships. I mean, today, in fact, there is a pandemic of relationships as well. There is a pandemic of emotional well being as well. I mean, I look at our crisis as 4E crisis. Uh, Economic crisis, everyone realizes, right? I mean, it's very
Mhm.
easy. It hits the headlines very soon. Ecological crisis, because of climate change, we all are experiences ecological crisis. Emotional crisis, because even WHO says mental health is coming up as a big challenge to all of us.
Absolutely.
But the root of all these 3E crises lies in ethical crisis.
Well
And
said.
in right, because
Mhm.
even the economic crisis begins with ethical crisis. And ethics in India is called dharma. From Rit, the cosmic order, comes individual order, which is called dharma. The word dharma in Sanskrit comes from dri, that is to hold together. Anything
Mhm.
holds us together or sustains us is dharma. And we all have individual dharma to follow. So when you ask for practices, Ayurveda and all the Shastras in Indian well-being, they give us practices,
Mhm.
which we need to follow as a dharma. Dharma is not religion. Dharma is usefulness and hold us together.
Yes, indeed. And talking about that, so um, and you opened on communities and the importance of the extended community. I would be referring in also in helping us leaving the fastness of this in going into a deeper sense of well-being. So what would be some ways, practical ways, practices, as you said, that individuals and communities essentially can reconnect with the indigenous practice, the what you defined well as being not only ancient versus modern, but practices we should follow in their well-being in today's world, but still using the wisdom. So what could be practices or ways you see should be emphasized?
Yeah, personally, I feel one of the best practice that we can bring back is get the family back in our life.
Mhm.
The fragmented life, we don't
Mhm.
have 2 generations, 3 generations living together, right? I mean, even in India, we see that children go away abroad to study, then they work there, they settle there, and parents start feeling the empty nest feeling, which was never there in India earlier, you know. My son lives in New Zealand. I'm just back from New Zealand, and I realized the Maori culture is so very much like Indian culture. And I think all indigenous cultures all over the world where they are connect generations, three generations staying together. I don't know whether it's practical today. That's another question. But uh, the practice that we need to bring back is either you have your own two generations, three generations staying together, staying nearby, spending a lot of time together, like grandparents saying bedtime stories to grandchildren. I mean, we don't see that very often now.
You're
We
right.
see,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But we can bring it back because, today we have all around us, we have a coach, we have a mentor, we have a counselor, we have a psychologist, we have a psychiatrist to support us in a professional way. However, all these roles earlier were done by women in families,
Mm.
mostly women. So there is
Indeed.
grandmother, there are aunts, there are cousins, and that support system, we don't have it today with us. We are able to bring that back together. It may not be physically possible, but I'm sure even if we do it virtually, start connecting with each other, start building deeper relationships, it would be great. And
Absolutely.
secondly, thank you.
Mhm.
And secondly, if we can build our own lifestyle, our everyday routine based on a circadian rhythm. So we follow the sun and the moon styles. The moon and the sun need to be followed. Now, unfortunately, how it's affecting our well being is very interesting. I'll just give you two, three examples from the modern
Mhm.
lifestyle, right? And connect it with ancient wisdom. Today,
Yes.
what we realize is that a lot of working people I see them going to gym in the evening because they don't have time in the morning. They are rushing to their workspace, right? Or they have
Yeah.
colleges, and then it's in the evening that the younger generation goes to gym. And that is one of the reason there is a lot of heart related problems coming up in the younger generation. And now connect this and how I could think of this and connect it with sun is because
Mhm.
in Ayurveda, heart is called a lotus. Now we feel that, oh, those people, those people were philosophers or poets, and that's why they are calling a heart as a lotus. How is a heart like a lotus? But actually, in a textbook of Ayurveda, it is written that the heart looks like an inverted lotus.
Mhm.
And in seen a lotus flower, we know that it blooms in the morning with the sunrise and it closes the petals with the sunset. Then it goes into a resting mode, right? And exactly this is what our heart does. In one, so we have developed something called biomimicry, right? Where people look at nature for product design. So birds were studied to create airplanes, right? I mean, a lot of biomimicry examples can be seen. How in our life we have forgotten the biomimicry? Because if we understand that heart is a lotus flower, and
Mhm.
then we will be able to connect that, okay, what makes my heart happy? So by sunset, my heart wants to withdraw from the outer world and it wants to go inward. So that's a time with family, that's a time to reflect, that's a time to relax and rejuvenate, get your energy back. The second example that I would love to, sorry, Stefan, you want to comment
No,
something on this?
your lotus example is awesome. You can finish it off, and then I just want to delve into. You've talked about the youth and the young people that are more problem related to health because of the ways they might be doing things. We don't
Yeah.
want to generalize, but yes, we see an increase of that. And you said that the WHO released also that. these reports on mental health and all those things. But I'll let you finish your thought, and then we'll talk about the Gurukul systems, which is
Oh, yes.
deeply rooted in the Indian tradition. You talked about the Ayurveda, and you gave the example of the lotus approach. So that's just to start this part of the discussion. But I'll let you first finish what you were saying.
Sure. So the second example, when I went to Sydney, because SP Jain has a campus in Sydney, and the first time I went to Sydney some 6, 7 years ago, at the airport, saw Wellbeing store, and naturally I was drawn to it. That okay, Wellbeing even becomes a store, right? I didn't know that. And when I see tablets of serotonin, tablets of melatonin, and I
Mhm.
said, "Oh, but these are natural hormones in our body. I mean, how do you take serotonin and feel happy? Or how do you take melatonin and you sleep better, or you cure your insomnia?" And then I did a little research. So that's why the moon cycle and the sun cycle is very critical, because
Yes.
more sunlight we absorb, our
Mhm.
pituitary gland actually secretes melatonin naturally. It's a natural hormone in our body. However, for melatonin to become active, we need darkness. And therefore, the evening, I mean, unfortunately, we all have very bright lights once the sun is not there to give us the natural light. And these artificial lights do not allow the natural melatonin to function or be effective. Even our phone screens, our TV screens, we requested Sangeeta to, have this program a little earlier and not very late, because I try and follow as much as possible the sun and the moon cycle. So the bright lights, the artificial lights, does not allow the melatonin to function well, because in Ayurveda, sleep is called tamas, and tamas is darkness, which is good, right? Unless without darkness, we can't sleep well. So, young generation or old, all of us need to have very dim light in the evening, try to have more darkness before we sleep to help get into a good, better rhythm.
Yes, indeed. That's a simple way to apply biomimicry approaches you were referring to. So I like the concept. So thanks for these insights. Um, so as I said, maybe we can delve into the Gurukul system and then emphasize its holistic development and approach, different than what we see typically more in Western schooling. So can you explain first the difference between these two for us on the Western side to understand, and then to give us this chance to see what are the possibilities and how the approach can help everybody learning on herself and on communities and all those things. So I'll let you go ahead with the difference and then dive into the system and the approach.
Sure, thank you. Gurukul, a master, right? Or a teacher. But it's not
Mhm.
a teacher, because guru is someone with whom you live for many, many years. You don't just go to school and come back. Most of the means family. It's a
Mhm.
community. So the guru's home becomes your home. So around 8 years of age in India earlier, the child lived with parents and studied at home. So whatever people at home knew, they would teach the child in a very practical way, not like a classroom or not even homeschooling, but learn seeing others. However, around 8 years of age, children were being sent to Gurukulams, and Guru were away from the city. They were more either in forests or more nature. I mean, this time we call them hostels, right? We send away our children to hostel. But these Gurukulams were connected with nature, rooted in the culture, And you to be a human being, you become more of the evolutionary process and participate into it. So your head, heart, and hands all were used, right? So you did a lot of cleaning work, you maintained the hygiene there, you kept the premises clean, you helped in the kitchen,
Mm.
right? And you did which was needed there. You washed your own clothes. Maybe you helped in cooking. Also, your classes to learn. However, it was more of a verbal communication because ancient Indians believed not in the written material or textbook and therefore naturally no PowerPoints, but
Mm.
small smriti, your memory. So the good teaches you. I mean, science, martial arts, music, dance, archery, everything, politics, it was part of the curriculum. And then what child needs as the child evolves
Mm.
was paid more attention to. And then if you
Right.
realize that a certain person is, more the today we have career counseling, right? So we have education counseling. So that guru would do that, okay, this child can be groomed to become or take up this role in society. And was inclusive, right? I mean, so there were no subjects. You don't jump from one subject to other. Maybe you will spend 2 hours learning only one subject and master in it. And once you mastered it, then you learn something else. So the learning is more integrated and holistic. Unfortunately, it declined during the history of India, Bharat, that became India, right? And now we are on the way path to become Bharat again. Because the name Bharat, which was the original name of India, itself means surrender to knowledge, shine with knowledge. So knowledge creation was always center.
Mm.
Also, in today, because I come from management teaching and a lot of pedagogy, teaching ways, methods, everything comes from US, right? And participant or learner centric learning, joy centered learning, question based learning, all these are supposed to be the modern concepts. However, when we look at ancient Indian literature of Upanishad, Itihasa, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puran, you realize that all this was a part of Gurukul education.
Mm.
So learners were supposed to come and ask questions. Now, when
Exact.
you
First
ask
thing.
question, you ask question only reflected, only me, me, process. And again, it's a limiting gesture to say thinking happens here. Thinking happens even in the heart.
Mm.
Because according to Indian philosophy, knowledge happens in the heart, not in the head. And it's now we are using, the head brain and the heart brain and the gut brain. We are using this language in modern times. We are talking of heart intelligence and gut intelligence. But in ancient times, and especially in Upanishad, you find references of integrated intelligence. So the teaching style was question based, joy based, learner centric, and each better human being, holistic human being, who can go back and do any role, whatever is required in society. Today, fortunately, again, I'll go back to industrial revolution. It's become a tree line. So the education is to create resources for jobs, right?
Mhm.
It's unfortunate that we have reduced the entire education system to resources that are needed for jobs. And now with
Exactly.
artificial intelligence, I don't even know what our education, where will it go? Because you don't even need to think. You just ask ChatGPT and it will reply everything you need, right?
Mm, exact. Y- You're opening on something that I wanted also to discuss with you. Without saying the word, you're in fact talking about a kind of um, two ways of thinking, one of which would be the wholeness of the individual. You refer to it indirectly through the fact that even your heart help you learn, and so. Can you elaborate? I know you've touched that the wholeness and a lot, but can you elaborate on on this journey, how it could be unfolding at a personal level, how you see that in the so starting from this, I would say, people being a resource, I would say just a single purpose or whatever, uh, the Western time mindset, I would say, compared to being a whole, so the wholeness of the person, community, and even beyond. So can we go further into that? So you opened it, and I just wanted to explore that a bit further with you.
Absolutely. See, and especially the Gurukul system, there are
Mhm.
two central themes. Okay. One I need to explain is four Purushartha. I mean, today we have modern well-being frameworks, right? One is the PERMA model framework by Martin Seligman, and I'm really grateful to Martin Seligman because he's the one who has created a paradigm shift in psychology, which was very pathological driven to more positive psychology. And there he talks, the PERMA model talks of meaningfulness in life, right? So, meaningfulness gives us well being and happiness. However, in India, from ancient times, uh, we were taught of how to lead a meaningful life. And then it was said that all human beings, irrespective of your nationality or geography or gender, we have four objectives to human life. The first being dharma that I talked about, then artha, kama, and moksha. Now, artha actually means two things. Artha is meaningfulness, and artha also means economics and prosperity. So we all prosperity enjoy life, but that prosperity needs to come in a dharmic way. So dharma is the first that guides artha kama,
Mm,
desires. We all have desires. I mean, if plants have desire, right? You put a outdoor plant indoor, they try and find a window from where they can get sunlight, right? So if it's a living being, not just human being, but every living being has desires. However, human being, everyone is bound by dharma and rhythm. We are the only one because we have brain, we are brain centered. So we don't live our dharma, but we say, oh, happiness, pursuit of happiness, individual hedonistic happiness is my aim, right? So if I love pizzas with a cold drink, which can harm my health, but if it gives me happiness, I need to pursue that, right? That's where consumerism and materialism has reduced us.
mm,
However, dharma, artha, kama. Kama is desire, also guided by dharma. What is useful for you? What is good for you? What is beneficial for you and the community? And last is moksha. Moksha, liberation, no rebirth, the spiritual ultimate. But moksha can also be outgrowing your own pattern of behavior. It's freedom, freedom from me repeating myself, whatever is not good for me. We all have habits, thought patterns, right? That we know are not very effective in our life, but we are trapped in it.
mhm.
Outgrowing those, our own patterns, is moksha. So these are the 4 objectives of every human life: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. And there's another matrix, which is the matrix of Panchakosha. So now quantum physics says that everything is energy. We all, the whole universe and us are energy, right? We are a vibrational electromagnetic field, all of us. Even our unified, I mean, I love the title Unified Human Prakriti, because human beings are also ultimately energy fields, and that's how we feel each other's vibrations, right?
Mm.
So it begins with gross and ends with very subtle. So it begins with our body, which is known as Annamaya Kosha. Anna is food, and body which can be seen,
Mm.
touched, is Annamaya Kosha. That is the first layer of us, who we are. However, 4 other layers who makes us whole. So the second layer is of prana. I mean, the Chinese call it chi. In India, we call it prana, right? It's known by different names and different cultures. But it's the layer, it's the energy level which is beyond. And this is what generally we transfer to each other. When we meet people and we say, oh, I'm getting very good vibes, or oh, I didn't get good vibes. The vibes come from our prana, pranamaya kosha.
Mm.
Beyond that, manomaya kosha. Man is mind, manas. Mind is not the very holistic word, but manomaya kosha is the layer of our mind, where we hold all our emotions, right? All our emotions, likes, dislikes, everything is stored there. That's Vigyanmaya Kosha, where knowledge is stored. And in India, we believe in rebirth. So we say that all that we have learned in our past birth, we carry it forward. So it's not that a child is born with a blank slate and all the knowledge dies when you die. No, we carry our knowledge with us. So whenever we are reborn, that knowledge comes to us easily. And then Anandamaya Kosh, because in India we believe that Ananda or bliss is our true nature. So the last layer is of bliss. And the good education is designed in such a way that it doesn't, because brain is part of Annamaya Kosha. It's very limiting. But then you expand your kosha, you expand your energies. Everything has to be in harmony and balance. So harmony and balance create well-being.
Yes. Key things in the balance. Yes, harmony and balance. Definitely at the heart of things. We have some questions from people. I would like to allow maybe Sangeeta or Cambria to just relay to us the questions that are coming up.
Sure.
Anyway, we can come back afterwards if there is. Thank you very much, Dr. Mala, for the first part. So Sangeeta, you had received some questions for us.
Yes, Dr. Mala, actually, it's a question that I've also got. And I want to thank you for your very comprehensive and quite comprehensive information on a very complex subject. Because like yourself, I've also done a lot of work with Sri Aurobindo and his teachings of integral yoga and the mothers. So I understand this. My question is actually related to energy systems and unified fields we now see as carrying data, information on all different levels. So whether these are through the air, through the water, through fire, through everything, the environment, and through the cosmos, because obviously we have cosmic energies that are coming down to our planet and that are affecting all of nature and us. So there is new data coming through into us that we are exposed to. Now, with this interface of new and unfamiliar and unknown information and data, our bodies and our mental, especially our minds, respond, maybe react in a way which creates a sort of protective or self-defensive or cautious impulse, cautious reaction. So when we are faced with things like that, and how can we actually discern a little bit of what is relevant, what is irrelevant, what is perhaps safe, and what is maybe not safe?
My research on heart. I'm right now writing a book on Indian psychology, and I'm working on a chapter on heart. And my own research has really opened up a very new understanding for myself. So I'll relate to the Panchmahabhuta that you mentioned, right? The Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal, and Prithvi, right? Now, very interestingly, uh, our microcosm are the same, right? So what is there? Cosmos. We are mini cosmos. Now, what we should say that in the heart, and it's not the heart that pumps the blood, but the Anahata chakra, the chakra systems that we have, right? So the two breast, there is a place which is what, which is a chakra where me, the sympathetic and sympathetic nervous system passes from below to the head, to the Sahasrara. Now, in heart says that in the Anna chakra, there is Akash, which means there is space. And in that space, the divine or the supreme knowledge resides. And I mean, I'm so happy you brought in Sri Aurobindo and the mother, because the mother always mentioned that knowledge never dies, right? And what we new knowledge is made new immortal. Knowledge always existed, right? Knowledge always existed. The beautiful way Ayurveda begins its history is that humanity was suffering, and therefore the rishis went to Brahma for a knowledge which will elevate the suffering of human beings. And Brahma remembered the knowledge of Ayurveda. Now imagine, this is what the Indian philosophy believes, that knowledge exists. No, for me, when I look only from the brain, so he said some knowledge is new. There is information overload, right? I may feel very overwhelmed. I'm not very sure how to deal with so much information. But this is where if I withdraw from brain to the heart and if I meditate, right, meditate regularly, then the soul will respond. Now, it's reacts, right? It knows that brain reacts. I mean, medulla, our lowest brain, has three responses to any life-threatening situation: fight, flight, frozen. And it doesn't allow our higher brain or heart to come in between. It just reacts because it's a life-threatening survival issue. However, if we take a pause, just a second pause, by breathing deep and focusing on heart, then the medulla will not get hijacked. And the moment medulla is calm, is not hijacked, then my heart says, okay, I know how to handle it. Don't feel overwhelmed. Don't fight, flight, get frozen. I will handle it. I will guide you. I will share the wisdom of knowledge that I hold within me.
Dr. Mala, this is so perfect because people everywhere, I don't want to demarcate east or west, but everywhere we are running so fast that this is where this knowledge of slowing down, allowing the medulla part of the primitive brain and the autonomic brain to come in and catch up and allow the rest of the body to also catch up and align. That is actually the integration of time with the physical and the non-physical. So thank you. I would like to I'd like to pass it on to Cambria now, because we've got some very good questions and important questions coming in from our audience. Cambria, shoot, please.
Sure, Cambria.
Okay, yeah, so there's 3 questions. I know we're getting close to time here, so I want to maybe read all 3, and then if you can kind of integrate the answers or take them as 3, however we go. So one question is, I wonder how the layer man could be explained in a way other than mind. Manners holds the emotion expressions. So that's one. The second is from Lara in Tijuana in Mexico. And she says, I work with a community that is trying to walk towards wellness, but we are faced with several challenges in Mexico due to the political climate. So understanding that the individual is central, how can we move forward towards wellness while facing these types of challenges? And then the third question, and if you want me to read them back one at a time, that's fine too. And this is coming from a first-year student of Masters of Heritage Studies and Management. So the question's from that background. How do we integrate these terminologies and wisdom to modern heritage discourses? And that's basically the question. So how do we bring this all together?
Yeah. I'll begin with the first question on mana and mind. There is a beautiful book, if anyone wants to read, called Sanskrit Non-Translatable by Rajiv Malhotra. Rajiv Malhotra, Sanskrit Non-Translatable. And he goes to etymology of such words like manas, and how manas is much more than a mind. Right? So that's how you'll be able to understand Manomay Kosha and mind. Right? And there is a beautiful work of Candace Pert. She was a psychoneuroimmunologist, and one of the US universities, I'm forgetting the name, and she was the first one to come very close to yoga and Ayurveda, because she studied both. And she talks about molecules of mind, when she says mind travels in every part of the body, and which is exactly what Ayurveda says. So the modern research in psychoneuroimmunology is also rediscovering the same thing what ancient wisdom has been talking. And for modern management, I think we have to continue reading both indigenous ancient scriptures, and then it will come, me somehow, they both came inside. So let's say if I'm talking about well-being team roles and organization behavior, and then suddenly Kapha and the Prakruti and Panch Mahabhuta, I can connect it. So what well-being team role is being talked about is the same. And for the person in Mexico, I would say it's time, and this is where, as a director of Indigenous Center, Knowledge Center, I would say, let all indigenous cultures come together. Because the political scenario in every country is not conducive to indigenous wisdom. Because, indigenous wisdom that's awakened in majority, then a lot of political BS will be blown away, right? Unite, we come together, and people will take responsibility, responsibility for their well-being. Rather than popping pills, they'll be aware and they'll say, okay, I want to live a life, as Sangeeta also agreed, Stefan, and you also agreed, slowing down. And the moment we slow down, We are into the zone of well-being. Our entire planet is in the zone of well-being, but the GDP go down, right? People may not, the billionaires may not be able to make more billions, but I'm sure humanity at large will certainly benefit. I've been able to somewhere answer all three.
I love that. And I wonder if if the woman in Mexico, if you look to the indigenous folks there in your land, then those conversations will resonate probably deeply with the people that are in your own political structure, because as you were saying, Dr. Mala, that we're rooted in our culture originally, right? And so that knowledge is carried through your people where you live. Yeah.
I also want to add here, this is definitely one of the functions that we have at Unified Human Prakriti Foundation, is to bring together all these different strains of ancient and not so ancient indigenous knowledge systems to be able to create an inclusivity, and B, a diversity, and C, an actual real exchange of knowledge, which we will see is all similar, very similar, but yet different, but similar. So again, like, this has been incredible, Dr. Mala. We've run out of time. What I would like to invite you is please to come back to us on another live session of the ecosystem for
Sure.
part 2, because it's very clear that we have hugely enjoyed listening to you, and you've got an incredible bank of amazing knowledge and wisdom, and it's real experiences, not just, academic intellectual knowledge, which I think is what we really are hungry for, is that lived experience, which is wisdom. And I believe that wisdom in itself is well-being,
Absolutely.
separate. And I think that's one of the big things we need to do is melt down and dissolve these even concepts of separation, because it is what it is. So I want to thank everybody for being here and for your attention and your presence. And I'm going to give it over to Cambria once again. She's going to tell us just very quickly about Unified Human and Unified Prakriti's The Ecosystem Live series. We have our October speaker on the 24th of October, who is Emily Bishop. And Emily Bishop is an expert in waterways, global waterways of the world. She's also been one of the team members for Water is Love film, and she'll be talking about that. Plus, she'll be bringing in the threads of water, technology, and governance. So she'll be bringing on these 3 threads. So I really invite you all to come back and listen to her and share it with your communities. Take it away, Cambria.
All right. Thank you again, Dr. Mala. Really appreciate your time and your wisdom and your love. Thank you. Yeah, so I'll just close out by inviting you all, thanking you first for being with us today. And your time is your most precious resource, and we really honor that. And so we have put together this series of live speakers, and we also have a community that we're building, and this is called The Ecosystem, and it's a monthly membership, and where we bring in all of these recordings, we have discussions, we have exclusive teachings, and ways that we can talk about and access wisdom keepers and some of the people that are in the forefront of these kinds of ideas and conversations. And so we invite you into that community. It's $25 a month. And you will come in, and like I said, there'll be all kinds of resources available to you, these talks, exclusive talks, access to events that we're holding, that other people are holding, and then access to some of these speakers as well. So definitely want to invite you into that. And again, appreciate your time. appreciate your care and your attention, and would love for you to share this series of talks, share the community. We really are passionate about bringing, you know, people and nature and wisdom back together, because that's what the earth is calling for. That's what our souls are calling for. That's what our communities are calling for. And this is a place that we have created where we can really get some traction on that and do it together. So invite you into that. And with that, again, really appreciate your time, and we will see you October 24th. Keep your eyes on your inbox, and please share what we're up to, share your experiences here, and invite your communities and your loved ones in.
Thank you. We co-create together.